From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. The big story today, Adani, one of the big Adani companies, has been indicted in the United States of America. And that's a big story, that Gautam Adani's company has been indicted by US prosecutors for conspiring with executives of a formerly New York listed company to devise a $250 million plus scheme to bribe Indian officials to boost their solar energy business. This is what the story is, ladies and gentlemen. What is the core of the charge here? The central charge is that there is this company called Adani Green, which has bribed officials in 5 Indian states. The states are Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh and Jammu and Kashmir. The charge is against Adani Green Energy. This is what the charge is. First of all, how is it America's business? I'm not saying that Adani Green or the Adani Group is Dudh Ka Dhula or that they're completely innocent. But that is not the point. Point is, how is it the business of the United States whether or not Adani tried to bribe an Indian official? It is like saying, ladies and gentlemen, that the government of India files a case against any American company, Elon Musk for example, for doing something wrong in the state of Texas. If Elon Musk does something wrong in the state of Texas, it is the responsibility of Elon Musk to answer and is the jurisdiction of the United States government to investigate. How is it America's business whether Adani or any Adani Group company tried to bribe any Indian official? Now, technically, they can say, no, it is very much within our jurisdiction because the company in concern comes under the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Because this company, Adani Green Energy, has business, raises money, and is therefore answerable to US Securities and Exchange Commission. Technically, they are correct. Practically, it makes no sense. The second point is, viewers, that this is purely because the Americans are very, very insecure about India. And the Americans know the strength of the Indian infrastructure machine, and they know the importance of the Adani Group as one of the key infrastructure players coming out of India. And that's why I believe that wherever there is opposition right now to the Adani Group, whether it's in Kenya, whether it is with this particular solar energy project, or whether it's in Australia, whether it's anywhere else, it's large, deep state actors of the Chinese and the Americans who see the Adani Group as a big threat. Interestingly, sometime back, the Adani Group's contract in Kenya, a proposed 30-year contract to do with airports and things, has also been cancelled. So I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that it is the American deep state which in the last embers of its dying fire before Trump takes over is trying to create as much trouble as possible for all its enemies anywhere in the world. And India is a certain enemy. The Adani Group is a certain enemy. Let's make no bones about it. This case where Adani has been charged, of course they're innocent till proven guilty, will come up before a court, and those who are heading that court are connected to the Soros group. So another very important thing comes out here everywhere. Wherever the Americans have any leverage over Indian interests, Indian business groups or the Indian government, they will use it. One key point we need to consider, this is a tit for tat also for what the Adani Group did with Bangladesh. As you know, the CIA, the FBI had a big role in making the puppet, the army puppet Muhammad Yunus, whatever designation he's been given, advisor or something to the Bangladesh government. Basically, he's been put in charge as the puppet head of Bangladesh for now by the American deep state. Now he's in trouble. Bangladesh has no money to pay its power bills, and it owes a lot of money, hundreds of millions, to the Adani Group. They were not paying the bills. They went to the Adani Group. Adani Group was asked, can you please give us more time to pay our bills? Gautam Adani played hardball. He did not negotiate. He did not bend. The Bangladesh government, economy, everything is in crisis if Gautam Adani completely pulls the plug as far as power requirements are concerned. The Indian government did not intervene with the Adani Group either. That's a good thing, because the Indian government is not speaking on behalf of the Adani Group. It's saying it's Adani's business, what business he has with Bangladesh. But all of this that is happening now, the charging of the Adani Group company in the US is happening within 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks of Adani making life difficult for CIA, FBI puppet Mohammed Yunus. Please connect the dots. Also, viewers, just some time back, the Americans went and saw for themselves how big the renewable energy facilities of the Adani Group are. I don't have the pictures right now, but American Ambassador Eric Garcetti went to the Khandwa Renewable Energy Facility in Gujarat, where he said, and he tweeted some time back, he learnt about the Adani Green's innovative projects advancing India's zero emissions goal. Now, viewers, this visit happened to Khandwa on July 16th. It happened about 6 weeks after Narendra Modi was elected for a third consecutive term. The Americans went and checked out the Adani facility, realized that this is huge. It's a place where you can produce 20 to 20 gigawatts of power, something the Americans can't even dream of. And the Americans suddenly realized that here is India, which is becoming far more powerful than they expected. India is transferring defense technology to Southeast Asia. India has made Africa its playground. India is investing in Africa. Africans are interested in doing defense collaborations with India. India is a big infrastructure player now in Kenya. You've got Adani eyeing the airports in Kenya. Now you have potential solar power generation capabilities in India, which are far beyond what the Americans had ever dreamed of. Therefore, it becomes very necessary to somehow put the brakes on India. And therefore, you got to create trouble. Last point tonight, food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that we need to look the Americans in the eye and tell them that this is none of their business. Whether Gautam Adani or anyone tried to bribe an Indian government official or tried to bribe Jagan Mohan Reddy when he was chief minister in a YSRCP government in Andhra Pradesh is a matter for the Indian investigators to investigate. It is not something the Americans can poke their nose in. So we have to look them back in the eye and tell them, MYOB, mind your own business. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the deep state at play once again. And those who are working with the deep state, last night, in fact, very early this morning, the entire Twitter ecosystem of the Congi Twitter ecosystem was working overtime around 3:30 a.m., generating the tweets, turning the social media narrative, and doing their best to bring the Adani stock down. The Adani stocks are down 15 to 20%, most Adani companies today. But I believe it will make a comeback. But that's not the point. This happens every time before a parliament session is to happen. We have a parliament session in 10 days. And I also believe that there needs to be a strong investigation into what the interests of certain Indian MPs are. Now, many Indian MPs are there who are associated with quote-unquote American think tanks. These American think tanks are in turn funded by the American deep state. In other words, there are many MPs who, while they have been ex-MPs, have been enrolled into these American think tanks, or are therefore directly or indirectly have been close to, associated with, or on the payrolls of the American deep state. These are the people who immediately became overactive this morning. Think about all the points that I have mentioned today, and please connect the dots. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not about Adani. It's the battle of the losing side, the Kamala Harris side, the Joe Biden side. Is the battle of the losing side and the American deep state before Trump takes over. And that's where this whole Adani story and the targeting of India comes in. I hope this explanation gave you some perspective, because I have a debate on this now on why this is a deep state operation. Ladies and gentlemen, deep state operation we need to be very careful about. And debate number 2 this evening, let's move fast. at 9 o'clock this evening, the politics of what's been going on. We had an interesting press conference by Sambit Patra, the political debate on Adani, as Rahul Gandhi says Adani should be arrested immediately. That's at 9 p.m. And here are the headlines this Thursday evening on the debate tonight. US prosecutors charge Gautam Adani and his associates of $250 million bribery charges for solar contracts. They claim that bribes were paid between 2020 to 2024. The Adani Group issues an official statement, says that all the charges pressed against the Adani Group companies are baseless and denied. The Adani Group claims it is looking at a legal recourse in the case.
Based on new information provided by investigative agencies and partner nations, that the procuring agencies within the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum immediately cancel the ongoing procurement process for the JKIA expansion public-private partnership transaction.
The Kenyan president orders the cancellation of a 30-year, $736 million energy deal with the Adani Group. The Kenyan president says they were provided new information by partner nations regarding the Adani Group.
अदानी जी को अरेस्ट कीजिए, उनका इंटेरोगेशन कीजिए और फिर जो भी इसमें इन्वॉल्व है पकड़िए.
Rahul Gandhi back with the same old template of the Adani saga just 72 hours ahead of the winter session. The BJP says this is an old tactic by Rahul Gandhi to stall the parliament session. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a matter of great coincidence that the outgoing Biden administration and his Department of Justice has raked up an indictment against the Adani Group and its energy company over bribery allegations in India, citing US law in New York. The timing of this is exceptional because it comes just days before a multi-million-dollar US bond offering of the Adani Group's energy company, which is now cancelled for the second time in a span of a month. But this also comes just days after the Adani Group and Gautam Adani congratulated and praised President-elect Donald Trump and promised a gigantic $10 billion investment in the energy sector, creating over 15,000 jobs in the US. Now, just like the short seller Hindenburg saga, the entire deep state ecosystem has woken up like clockwork, and they were working since 3:30 a.m. today to target Adani. The biggest question is what triggered it, and more importantly, why now? But most importantly, what happens next? Here is what happened so far, and then we debate.
After the Adani Group weathered the Hindenburg storm, it is the US Department of Justice that entered the arena with an indictment against Gautam Adani. The allegations against Adani? That the Adani Green Energy company offered bribes upwards of $250 million or 2,000 crore rupees to Indian state officials in exchange of contracts to sell its solar energy, totaling to over $2 billion. The US Department of Justice contends that Adani Group has misrepresented itself to their US investors by not complying with anti-bribe and corruption practices, for which they are being indicted on 5 criminal counts in a New York court. Interestingly, the indictment comes with just 2 months left for the outgoing Biden administration before President Trump's inauguration on 20th of January. Coincidentally, perhaps, it comes just days after Gautam Adani congratulated US President-elect Donald Trump on his victory and promised a $10 billion investment in US energy sector, creating over 15,000 jobs in the United States. Reacting to the development, the Adani Group came out with a statement categorically denying all allegations and maintaining that it has upheld all regulatory compliance across jurisdictions in accordance to the law. The Adani Group also quoted the US Department of Justice that these are just allegations, and as per the natural course of law, the presumption of innocence shall prevail unless proven guilty. However, right on cue, after the US indictment announcement, the opposition once again leveled serious charges against Gautam Adani, with Rahul Gandhi personally leading from the front and calling for his arrest.
जहां भी करप्शन है वहां पे इन्वेस्टिगेशन होनी चाहिए, मगर इन्वेस्टिगेशन अदानी जी से शुरू होगी, और जब तक अदानी जी अरेस्ट नहीं होंगे तब तक क्रेडिबल बात नहीं बनेगी। तो शुरुआत वहां से है, अदानी जी को अरेस्ट कीजिए, उनका इंटेरोगेशन कीजिए, और फिर जो भी इसमें इन्वॉल्व है पकड़िए।
Immediately rebuking Rahul Gandhi and the Congress over their agenda to malign the Indian economy, the BJP came out questioning Rahul and the structure backing him.
हमें भी पता है आपके स्ट्रक्चर के विषय में, ये इल्हान ओमर और ये जॉर्ज सोरोस, ये जो आपका स्ट्रक्चर है ना, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्ट्रक्चर, इस स्ट्रक्चर के विषय में हमें भी पता है, और आपके स्ट्रक्चर का नियत क्या है। आपकी जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्ट्रक्चर है वो भारतवर्ष के मार्केट के ऊपर आघात करना चाहती है, निरंतर आघात करती रहती है।
As the US Department of Justice suddenly grows a conscience over allegations of Adani indulging in corruption with Indian state officials, the question remains, is this coordinated attack on Adani a clear reaction from the deep state?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister is speaking live in the Parliament of Guyana, where he's been given the highest award and distinction and decoration by the government there. India has a very strong relationship with Guyana, and there's a very significant Hindu population also in Guyana. It's a very important speech of the Prime Minister, so I'm going to cut out of that Adani debate for a bit, go into this. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the Guyana Parliament. Let's cut live for a few minutes.
ट्रस्ट और ट्रांसपेरेंसी के आधार पर ही अपनी बात की है। एक भी देश, एक भी रीजन पीछे रह गया तो हमारे ग्लोबल गोल्स कभी हासिल नहीं हो पाएंगे। तभी भारत कहता है एवरी नेशन मैटर्स। मैं फिर दोहराऊंगा, एवरी नेशन मैटर्स। इसलिए भारत आइलैंड नेशंस को स्मॉल आइलैंड नेशन नहीं बल्कि लार्ज ओशन कंट्रीज मानता है। इसी भाव के तहत हमने इंडियन ओशन से जुड़े आइलैंड देशों के लिए सागर प्लेटफॉर्म बनाया। हमने पैसिफिक ओशन के देशों को जोड़ने के लिए भी विशेष फोरम बनाया है। इसी नेक नियत से भारत ने G20 की प्रेसिडेंसी के दौरान अफ्रीकन यूनियन को G20 में शामिल कराकर अपना कर्तव्य निभाया। साथियों, आज भारत हर तरह से वैश्विक विकास के पक्ष में खड़ा है, शांति के पक्ष में खड़ा है। इसी भावना के साथ आज भारत ग्लोबल साउथ की भी आवाज बना है। भारत का मत है कि ग्लोबल साउथ ने अतीत में बहुत कुछ भुगता है। हमने अतीत में अपने स्वभाव और संस्कारों के मुताबिक प्रकृति को सुरक्षित रखते हुए प्रगति करने का प्रयास किया है, लेकिन कई देशों ने एनवायरनमेंट को नुकसान पहुंचाते हुए अपना विकास किया। आज क्लाइमेट चेंज की सबसे बड़ी कीमत ग्लोबल साउथ के देशों को चुकानी पड़ रही है। इस असंतुलन से दुनिया को निकालना बहुत आवश्यक है। साथियों, भारत हो, गयाना हो, हमारी भी विकास की आकांक्षाएं हैं। हमारे सामने अपने लोगों के लिए बेहतर जीवन देने के सपने हैं। इसके लिए ग्लोबल साउथ की एकजुट आवाज बहुत ही जरूरी है। ये समय
is addressing the parliament in Guyana after being awarded the highest honor in Guyana. That's a significant speech. I will go back to it. We'll be running clips of it in just a bit. Going back to our regular programming now, I am going back to debate on the big Adani issue. And on that, we have renowned market expert, one of the most respected voices, not on markets, but on macroeconomics nowadays, the very popular Ajay Bagga with us tonight. We have Harry Dhaul. Harry Dhaul is an economist. He's a founder and director general of the Independent Power Producers Association of India, or IPPAI. PK Basu, well-known political commentator and economist, and Sushant Sareen, who we love as a geopolitical analyst. On the other side tonight, I have Tanveer Ahmed, anti-BJP political analyst right now. We have Professor Ganga Sahai Meena, professor at JNU and well-known author, and Dr. Pullarao, political analyst. I've kept this non-political because the political debate on Adani, Abhishek, we'll do at 9 o'clock. Can I start with you, Abhishek, your first question to any of the panelists, your initial thoughts on what's going on? Yeah.
Well, my question would be to Ajay Bagga. Does he see the hand of the deep state? Because that's our main debate. And if he does, how?
Yeah, Abhishek, overall, if you see the timing, the way this has come out, these papers were filed on 24th October, as per the papers that have come out. And then today we get these papers just before the 25th November winter parliament session starting. And then we saw the whole toolkit working very fast. The markets also reacted. The Adani companies lost a lot of ground today. Overall, if you see the issue in perspective, this is the fifth biggest economy you're talking about, the fifth largest market in market cap terms. It is the economy which will contribute 20% of global growth for every year for the next two decades, Arnab. That is the kind of country you're talking to. It's not a small nation sitting somewhere. And then to bring out these issues that our laws have been violated, not $1 has been bankrupted or repayment has not happened. There is nothing that leads you to say that there is a solvency or a liquidity issue with the group. All those issues have been kept aside, and this issue has been brought up. Again, Arnab, a very key point was missed out. I was on a couple of debates today, and even senior lawyers are saying there is an indictment and blah, blah. This was a grand jury trial. The grand jury has only allowed the case to go ahead. That's all. The trial jury has to be formulated. The trial jury will sit and decide on the case where the respondents will get a chance to defend themselves. Right now, it is a pre-charged thing where the charges have got framed and a grand jury has just said, yes, go ahead. The grand jury, their correlation with success is low. Second, their stepping stone, the amount of obstacles they have to go through are much less than a trial jury, which has to be a unanimous verdict. So we have just today hung Gautam Adani based on some media reports and some toolkit working, Arnab.
Yeah, but this is really dangerous. Second, I personally don't think this is going to work. But the question is why, why the politics over it? It's a matter of great concern for me. I've always said it. A short-term benefit, long-term loss for the country, short-term benefit for you, Tanveer, for you, Polarao, a moment of happiness that Adani is seen to be close to the Indian government is being targeted by the Americans. You should be unhappy about it. I mean, do you think the Americans would have celebrated if, for example, if the Indian government, had prosecuted Elon Musk for any potential violations of Indian law? Do you think the Americans would be celebrating? They wouldn't. But this is the problem with our politicians. Yes, Tanveer.
Arnab, absolutely unhappy, because we need to really understand India, which is going to become a 5 trillion economy. If people like this really comes out and who are caught every time, he is a blue-eyed boy of one political party. Let's really not name it. But why is he involved?
One minute. He does a lot of business in West Bengal. Name it.
Let's finish.
He does a lot of business in Andhra Pradesh.
Arnab,
he has done a lot of business with YSRCP.
West Bengal is not outside India. Arnab, if at all he is using his illegitimate money to make money, I don't think India definitely needs Mr. Adani's money. India is rich enough to really grow on its own with legitimate money. Why is there, Mr. Narayana Murthy is there in business for last 50 years? Why is not anybody has spoken one word about him? Tatas are there in this business. Why America or Britain has not spoken about him? Why is Mr. Gautam Adani, who suddenly rose to such high number?
PK Basu countering you there because
please,
we get a point. You get a point.
Yes, PK Basu
the point made by Tanveer is
let's really draw a line.
Tanveer, the point that you made there is why has Narayan Murthy never been indicted in America, and why has Gautam Adani been indicted in America? Because you want to make it. I hope, Mr. Narayan Murthy, you don't think I'm rude, but Narayan Murthy does not constitute a threat to the American economy or the American deep state or America's business interests. Mr. Narayan Murthy is a completely different line of business. Mr. Narayan Murthy is not going and taking over airports and doing deals in Kenya and Australia. Please understand what you're talking about. PK can answer the PK. PK, where does the deep state interest get hit here?
Well, you see, the basic thing is that Adani is creating infrastructure, not only in India, but he's doing it in Australia, in Kenya. He's competing against the likes of Bechtel Corporation and other major American corporations. He therefore represents a threat to not only American corporations, but the deep state. So if you look at something like, for instance, the software companies. The software companies provide a cheap resource to the American state, to the American people. They are not threatened. There are no American software providers that compete against Infosys or...
You are just trying to create
TCS.
one conspiracy theory, Mr. PK Basu.
The thing about
this is just a pure
Adani's
conspiracy theory which you are speaking about. I don't think we need to really... speak about a conspiracy theory. India and America has been really working for a very long time.
The interesting theory is
America
that
has been a partner of India
just because
towards growth, whether it is banking sector or infrastructure. Let's really not say
the new president comes into office. The new president is going to come into office 2 months from now. And during this 2-month period, the outgoing Biden administration is trying to do as much as possible to make trouble around the world.
No, you see, the way things work globally is that there is America would be looking at every lever to pressurize Adani and India now for one immediate trigger. And I want to refer to it before I go to other panelists. You know what happened in Bangladesh. Bangladesh can't pay its power bills. Adani put pressure on them. The Bangladeshis can't even pay 1/4 of the pending power bills. They asked the government of India to say, can you put pressure on Adani? Government of India said, you have a deal with an Indian corporate group, why should we? And this just happened a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
Now, we know what happens.
Arnab, you can think better than Henry James. You can think better than Henry James. I mean, the way you are actually.
If you are not aware,
words,
Tanvir, thank you. Tanvir, thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the compliment. I can also tell you that the attorney who indicted Adani is reportedly appointed on the recommendation of a close aide of Soros, who's called Chuck Schumer. He's the person who recommended the appointment of Breon Peace, who is the attorney who has indicted Adani. Chuck Schumer is also called, quote unquote, for everyone present here, everyone on the screen, the man of Soros, because of the amount of funding that he got from Soros. Soros contributed $16 million to Chuck Schumer's PAC. Soros has been spending millions of dollars on Schumer. It is alleged that Schumer became Senate Majority Leader in 2021 and got power to appoint judges by using funds provided by Soros. So Soros can do what he wants, and Schumer has been photographed many times with Alex Soros, who is the son of George Soros. And you need to understand these connections. You are not aware of them, not my problem. I want to go to Harry Dhaul here. Harry Dhaul, are we reading too much, or is there really a deeper story here? Because it cannot be. I don't think it is what appears to be suddenly the Americans are very interested whether Adani tried to bribe somebody in Jagan Mohan's government's. It seems too far-fetched to me. What's the real story here, Harry?
Well, I don't know what the real story would qualify as a real story, but I want to say one thing. As of today, Mr. Adani is innocent. And why I say that is that these are mere charges or allegations. And until someone is proven guilty, let's get the facts straight. He is innocent. That's one. Second, I'm quite surprised with the shallow focus of the stock market players. You see, Mr. Adani being charged or not will not stop cement being manufactured, ports running full blast, country is thriving, his power supply is happening all over the place. So I don't understand why we Indians sort of take something to another level. And the persons affected is not Mr. Adani. It's the shareholder. It's the guy who plays the stock market. People who have sort of taken small loans and they have gone and invested.
But Harry, what about the Kenyan government cancelling the airport deal there? We had an announcement by the Kenyan president. Pardon me?
I'll answer that. Not just the I happened to be in Uganda a couple of years back, and I found the airport is controlled by the Chinese. Until recently, what happened is the Chinese took over the airport for non-payment. So this is well understood, and this is a game, that's being played, and fine. I mean, it's all competition, and everyone's trying to win geopolitically.
But Harry, tell me one thing. I do understand this, and I've always said that as India becomes bigger, we go from 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 and 15 to 20 trillion. Knives are going to be out for us. I know that, Harry. But why is it so difficult?
Arnab, we are going to grow anyway.
Yeah, we're going to grow anyway. But what does Adani and the Adani Group? Why the Adani Group?
Legitimately, we will grow anyway, but legitimately.
We will grow
loyally.
Where does the Adani Group get caught in the process?
In an Indian way, not just in Adani's
there is a
way.
narrative.
We will grow in a way which we have really got to do business.
Tanvir Bhai is calling you Tanvir Bhai. Yeah? Come on.
Yeah. He's a good friend. I've known him for a long time. He's a decent guy. My point is, you see, why Adani? Because attacking Adani at this stage, because you can't attack anybody else at the moment. Like we said, Narayan Murthy can't be attacked. So kuch na kuch to chahiye na news mein. Up and down the stock market. Someone must have thought about this plan before Parliament. See, these are all things which you have to take in your stride.
Yeah.
We are in business. We are not in politics. We're in business, and we're in infrastructure business.
You see,
so I say one statement before I close my point. Adani, whatever you may say against him, has built infrastructure for me and for the fellow citizens of this country. I don't know what he has done in the past. In the middle, I don't care.
Okay, Pulla wants to come in here. Harry,
are benefiting. Jobs are benefiting.
One thing. Pulla Rao is contradicting you from Chennai. Yes, Pulla, go on.
What I was really surprised to read, and first of all, a businessman of his size should be careful. You should be careful. Second, what I found in this whole thing was what Talleyrand, the great foreign minister ever of Napoleon, said. This is worse than a crime. It is stupid.
What?
It's true. It's true.
No, but how do you take it at face value?
I take it as what I'm saying. If what is
Has Jagan Mohan Reddy, for example, Pulla, 1 minute, Pulla, sir, has Jagan Reddy said, that yes, Pulla Rao, I got an offer of a 200 million bribe from Gautam Adani. If Jagan Mohan Reddy says that, then the whole story changes. But till he doesn't say that, there's nothing to back it up.
I know it has to go through investigation. I know it has to go through investigation.
No, are you saying that the American secret agencies are bugging the phones of Jagan Reddy? Are you saying that Indian government officials... No, 1 minute. One minute. We got serious stuff going on there. If the CIA is doing that, we want to know, right, Abhishek?
Exactly.
Are you saying that the American secret service agencies are carrying out espionage on Indian government officials and going public with it in their indictments? Abhishek, can you spin that?
The indictment actually mentions that as part of the investigation, they were listening in, they were snooping, a surveillance, perhaps according to US law, but this actually amounts to surveillance, and hence is snooping, was being carried out on the Adani Group and as a corollary on top officials of the government of India and possibly some state governments, which means the US deep state is going deep inside the Indian territory. This is obviously breach of Indian laws. Also, maybe tomorrow we can also file some cases against those people who are in breach of Indian laws.
Yeah, or any Indian company who has any play in the American securities or exchange market.
One comment. What are our agencies doing, allowing this to happen? Your phone tap, my phone tap. Aren't they supposed to protect
We shouldn't allow, of course, Pulla Rao. That's the point. You see, if the Americans are getting, you are saying, you are taking a high moral ground. The fact of the matter is surveillance against India.
The person I fail to understand is a remarkable young man called Rahul Gandhi, who suddenly came and said this morning that Gautam Adani should be arrested. I mean, if this is the immediate response, then for one, I am amazed at the faith and emotional intelligence and intellectual ability of Rahul Gandhi, who says basis an indictment where a person is innocent till charged, he should be arrested. By that logic, Mr. Rahul Gandhi should be in jail with his entire family right now. You know, I don't understand this logic, this overreaction. Absolutely. Is that because the American democratic establishment was seen to be the last hope for Rahul Gandhi? And the expectation...
arrest happens for interrogation. Arrest happens for interrogation. And definitely he should be arrested for interrogation. Arrest doesn't mean that you are going to put behind bars for a longer time. Yes, definitely you need to be arrested for interrogation.
Then why did you oppose the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal?
Come on, Arnab, I also know law.
I don't think you do.
Absolutely, I didn't oppose it. We actually,
okay, so
India is
here's
much
the point
about
here.
BJP. India is much about Rahul Gandhi. India is much about Mr. Narendra Modi. We need to grow legitimately. We need to grow properly.
If only your enthusiasm was to be matched by your knowledge. You need to understand here something geopolitical is going on. It's very serious. Adani Power, Sushant exports power to Dhaka from a dedicated 1,600 megawatt Godda plant in Jharkhand. Okay, it has reduced supply this month to 700 megawatt from 1,400 to 500 megawatt. Then they further reduced it to 520 megawatt. Bangladesh panics, says, what the hell, we're going to go dark. We'll collapse, our industries will collapse. Yunus has just taken over, we're finished. Bangladesh dials Delhi, MEA, please help us. MEA says, buzz off, we can't help you. Do your deal. Adani says, I'm not helping you, I'll help you bit by bit. The Americans come in, they look for levers. The Americans love levers. They have no levers. They have one exposed lever in a company called Adani that is raising money in the American market. Timing for Adani is very bad. It happens before this offer is going public, right? They pull the lever. You know, that's the way the Americans do business. And then in the early morning, Rahul Gandhi gets up from bed and says, arrest Adani. I mean, Sushant Sareen, what's at play here? What's at play here?
Arnab, I think there are a couple of things that play out here. One, you know, on this entire, all the allegations which are being made against Mr. Adani,
Ajay Bagga back.
I think there's no harm if somebody in the government looks at it, simply because if indeed, and I think most of these allegations, and I'll come to that in just a minute, if somebody is paying a bribe of $250 million to somebody else to get a contract approved, then you and I are going to be paying that money. Nobody is going to give that money as a bribe out of his own pocket. So in the interest of the Indian consumer who's going to be buying electricity, some kind of an investigation certainly needs to be done. But on the specific charge, one, by a grand jury, simply because the way the evidence has been procured, and as Abhishek has very correctly told you, has been done illegally. for evidence to be admissible before a jury, it has to be procured legally.
That's so true.
So clearly, in this particular case, it was not procured legally.
Not necessary. Not necessary. Absolutely no, not necessary.
I will keep quiet.
Not necessary.
I will keep quiet. Who have been interrupting everybody? Who want to rebut me, you rebut me after I've said. Otherwise, I'll keep quiet.
No, sir, you can't really give a wrong information.
Don't do that, Tanveer.
Not legally. It has to be proper evidence.
Tanveer, let him complete his point. You know, he has actually come into the debate at 8:37 p.m. Did he speak while you spoke? No. Come on, let him complete his point, Tanveer. It doesn't add to it. Please, we are all listening very keenly to everyone.
Up his bonnet because
not necessary is the point. I'm going to keep quiet. It is not necessary.
He has a bee up his bonnet, that's true.
Say whatever you want to say. Finish, then I'll come.
No, you complete. He won't finish. You continue, Sushant.
Okay, so I'm hoping that nobody will interrupt
me. Mr. Sushant, I corrected you that it's not necessary.
Oh God, now.
Yeah. Correct me. Give me a legal lecture, please. I'm waiting for it from you.
No, Sushant, you carry on. Don't get provoked. That's Tanveer's style. Please continue.
They are unnecessarily, you know.
I know it is. No, I know it is. I know him, but continue. Continue. We all have to have thick skin. Please continue.
Voice so much, you know, start a podcast of your own and keep airing your thoughts here. Everybody.
That's a good idea. Yes.
You know, so here is the thing. So this is it's a grand jury, this thing. Even if you read the indictment papers, it very clearly says allegations. Now, when you juxtapose this indictment, the indictment in this particular case, incidentally, the Department of Justice in the United States has been weaponized both internally and now it seems externally. There are a lot of questions being raised about how the Department of Justice has been functioning under the Biden administration and whether Mr. Biden was even aware of what the hell's happening under his watch. Nobody really knows anymore. In any case, he's a lame duck. So these guys are running riot. But the thing is that if you juxtapose these indictments, they are saying allegations. There is no evidence. But what they are saying is that they have some screenshots or some interceptions of Mr. Adani's nephew's phone, which has some PowerPoint presentations and I think some documents or some Excel sheets, which have the bribes listed out. Now, clearly, if they procured that evidence in an illegal manner, I don't know whether it will stand before a jury or not, because evidence has to be legally procured. It cannot be procured illegally. Having said that, on the whole Bangladesh question, the one thing which came to my mind immediately as soon as I read in the morning about these allegations was that old clip of George Soros when the first Hindenburg report came out, where he says, well, Adani is now being targeted and hopefully this will bring down Modi.
Yeah.
Basically, it means that you're targeting Adani essentially to get at Modi. One, because there is this perception that, Modi is in power because of Adani and his money. And clearly, people very closely aligned to this bunch of people in the democratic mafia in the United States seem to be plugging this line. Secondly, on this whole Bangladesh question, the thing is that just the way the Kenyans have said that we are cancelling this contract, I'm sure the Bangladesh power purchasing contracts would also be governed by certain arbitration clauses, right? Arbitration courts in case of a dispute. But in those arbitration courts, if, for example, Mr. Adani was to take the government of Bangladesh to an arbitration court and put them through the cleaners on that particular case, the Bangladeshis can always argue that, well, there were certain bribes that were exchanged, etc., etc. So the government now is not liable to pay Mr. Adani a dime. If they have to go without power after that is their problem. But they can redeem whatever they owe. So maybe that is
it's all of this, but we have a rather strange situation, and where we have Professor Gangasai Meena, political establishment here in our country, which has more faith on American investigators than on the Supreme Court of India. Than on the Securities and Exchange Board of India. And it is really surprising that the SEC and the Department of Justice of the outgoing lame duck Biden administration wake up to the alleged corruption of Adani 2 months before Trump's or 7 weeks before Trump's inauguration, right? And we don't listen to what the Supreme Court had said. The Supreme Court had Abhishek upheld SEBI's clean chit to Adani.
Yeah.
And the Securities and Exchange Board of India investigated the charges of the US-based short seller Hindenburg Research allegations, and they upheld the clean chit given to SEBI by Adani. These are, now point is, viewers, you're watching this in India. Are we going to follow Indian law, Indian investigators, Indian sovereignty, Indian government, and India's Supreme Court? Or are we going to go by a random attorney who is accountable only to George Soros and his son Alex Soros? Professor Meena, what do you think?
Arnab ji, first of all, I want to thank you for finally addressing the Adani issue. Even if your discussion seems to aim to defend Adani, but at least you have courage to bring this subject in the conversation.
We have always done it. No, you don't have to. Maybe we have debated the Adani issue and the Hindenburg issue ad nauseum, Professor Sahai, multiple times in the past. I am not one to dodge the bullet on any issue. I am not holding the card for anyone. I was the person who said Adani is not India and India is not Adani. So I don't equate the two. But I am looking at the substantial issues that have emerged out of this. Yes, Professor.
Indeed.
But unfortunately, I want to say that you are misleading the people by questioning the timing. You are not mentioning that this investigation has been started about 2 years ago. And court has seized the Gautam Adani's nephew's, Mr. Sagar's phone and laptop and other things, and long time ago. And everything, but Indian media did not report anything. And Adani Group had a list of offences internationally. And you are saying it is the matter of India. No, Mr. Adani is not only Indian. He is an international businessman. His industries are everywhere in the world. And his offences are reportedly internationally, but Indian media often downplay them. Adani's alleged misdeed have caused significant damage to India. You are always talk about the nationalism. When JNU people protest somewhere, you say, oh, they are not nationalists.
Just 1 minute again, I'll intervene. It is not when some JNU people protest anywhere. It is when some JNU people say, Bharat tere tukde honge, insha Allah. That's when I protest. So don't make it so innocent.
No, it is not proved. It has not proved. In no court inquiry, it has not proved.
Yeah. So when you say Afzal hum sharminda hai, tere qatil zinda hai, then I protest.
Because of Mr. Adani, what is happening with the India's image? We should think on this, that this is the national issue, and we are trying to save him, and because of him, we should say that we are in the favor of joint parliamentary committee.
I'm sorry, but I'll let Harry Dhaul come in. One minute. It is not 1 minute. Professor, I'll tell you one thing. I don't have any interest in saving Adani. You are talking to India's largest independently owned news network. Mr. Adani has another network. So I have no reason at all to save him. My question is this, that do we not open our eyes today and understand that Adani Green Energy Limited is the second largest global solar PV developer in the global solar energy sector. And the American ambassador went there to his plant and said, I can't believe it, that something like this exists where you can produce 25 gigawatts. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Abhishek?
Yeah.
He tweeted about it. Do you think the Americans will welcome Adani with open air? We love multilateralism in the business sector. Pardon me?
They are inquiring from last 2 years.
Oh, Baba, that is what I'm saying.
A lot of cases are going on.
Okay, so
if you go to Australia,
I'm asking.
Go to Australia, there are a lot of charges.
You actually. Okay, so I'll let Harry and Ajay come in to respond to that. I won't take a stand on this. Harry, can you respond to what he said?
Well, you can call it that, but I just want to use your platform to educate people that the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act has been around for 25, 30 years. I remember in the early 90s, when the Enron project was coming in, we were made very conscious of these things. And I think it's very important for Indians who are doing business internationally and are getting investments into India, particularly startups, they should be aware of the law, which is extra sort of territorial. That's a law. And I think in this matter, whatever investigation has to be done, I agree with whoever's on the panel, let them do the investigation. There's no problem in that. My problem is, something Professor said, India's image is being ruined.
Yeah.
India's image is being ruined by certain sections of social media and media, which is, I don't understand what they're going to get out of it. Now, what bothers me is this crash in the stock market. Forget Adani. What is going to be the impact on other investors, on joint ventures, on startups, on young boys and girls who are coming up with a startup with damn good ideas and they want to come forward? What the hell is going on?
1 minute. We want a counter to that point. I'm coming to you, Ajay, just to make a counter to that point from Pulla Rao or Tanveer. You want to counter that?
You see, one thing, I just heard Mr. Sushant Sarin say that this illegal.
I want to say something.
They have taken permission, according to the report, from courts for wiretapping. They have taken permission. So the evidence is evidence. And I'm not saying the evidence is right or wrong. There's a long legal process which is going to go through. And whatever happens will happen in the middle of all of this. But definitely, Mr. Harry, I still say that as you perhaps will say, now you said they should be aware of this act. That's what you said. And they should be careful. Then I definitely say, why were they not careful?
I don't know.
Why were they?
Why were they not careful? But Ajay, before Ajay, you want to make a point, then I'll head to Ajay.
Yeah. I just want to say
Abhishek, why was Adani not careful? Now, keep in mind one thing. I don't know. Apparently, these phones were seized about a couple of years back, and I'm sure the Adani group will have to be more careful. And there could have been. I'm not saying that the group has been very discreet in their activity or that they have not done anything wrong. I'm looking at the larger picture, Abhishek.
I'm saying there could be a possibility, Arnab, of physical snooping of Adani headquarters. Para 58 says on or about April 29, the defendant... in Ahmedabad.
In Ahmedabad.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you saying that the American deep state has bugged the Adani headquarters in Ahmedabad?
Possibly bugged.
That's huge if that happens. Now tell me where that shows.
There is a reason. 58 para.
1 minute, one minute, sir. 1 minute. You want that to happen? You are happy that happens? You want the FBI and the CIA to now snoop into Indian big corporates' offices?
Snooping is done of all the
Oh my God, what are you saying? Abhishek.
Listen to para 58, which says on or about April 29, 2022, the defendant, Rupesh Agarwal, so-and-so, met with defendant number 1, Gautam Adani, at their corporate headquarters in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. During the meeting, Gautam Adani detailed aspects of the bribery scheme, including... Now, there were 3 people in the meeting. How does FBI know that this meeting has happened in Ahmedabad headquarters of Adani Group? Obviously, they know that
which is very big. This gives a completely different spin. Para 58 out here has to be looked at.
Evidences are there in their phones, their laptops. So there are evidences.
No, but it's what...
No, they're discussing
this is details of a
what
physical
happened
meeting.
or transpired in the meeting.
These are details of a physical meeting. Physical meeting in the Adani headquarters in Ahmedabad.
We reach on the conclusion that democracy means to serve the people, not the corporate.
So CIA, to serve democracy, should bug the offices of an Indian corporate, in your view. Is this a leftist argument?
No. These things they found in the laptops of Mr. Sagar.
CIA
Adani.
is soon going to be headed.
Gautam Adani.
The next US.
The Indian government
head of the US
such thing happened, then Indian government
national
should
investigation
criticize
body is going to be Tulsi Gabbard. The outgoing administration is desperate.
No. If you believe this thing
make
happened,
as much trouble as possible for the Trump
administration. I'd like to bring in Ajay Bagga once again. Ajay, I'll give you the last word. Are we becoming too volatile? 1 minute. Are we becoming too volatile in our reaction of the markets? The point which Harry Dhaul made earlier.
Yeah, I totally agree with Harry. Now, one is the China factor. If you look at Africa today, 40% of China's farmland, 40% of Chinese mine, of Africa's farmland, 40% of the African mines are controlled by Chinese companies. And you know who controls Chinese companies? India is a threat to that. One. Second, I completely agree with Harry on the second point. We are too volatile. We have to act as a fifth biggest economy nation. If a white race comes in and starts making some comment and we go ahead and just take our own wealth creators to the cleaners, it's not right, not for the stock market also. We have to think of the retail investor who has invested in this market, and if you create so much volatility, the political class, if it hits the wealth creators, that's not the right thing. Have the due process of law. Take everybody through the ringer who has broken the law by all means.
Tanveer, 10 seconds only, Tanveer. You get 10 seconds.
Arnab, yes, last thing I want to say that, people who are associating Adani with Modi, I totally reject that, because Modi is our prime minister. Adani is just another businessman. Businessmen come and go, and we should not equate Adani with Narendra Modi or Indian government.
The only person who's doing that is Rahul Gandhi.
India is not Adani.
The only person who's doing that with Rahul Gandhi. And when Rahul Gandhi was asked, but Mr. Gandhi, Congress governments do so much business with Mr. Adani. He said, oh, but I have no problem if Congress governments take money.
My country's interest
He
is
said, I have no problem if Congress governments take money because we follow due process.
My country's...
Can I just say something?
Sushant, 5 seconds.
Arnab, my concern is India is larger than anything.
Sushant,
and
5 seconds. Thank you. Audio, Sushant.
Yes, Sushant, please.
One, the person from JNU has a lot of faith on the American justice system, but when you asked him a question on Bharat Tere Tukde Honge, which obviously he believes in, he says, but no court has charged them with that. Well, no court has charged Mr. Adani or anybody else on any of this wrongdoing. Okay. One. Secondly,
no, they have issued
whatever investigation is on, sir. Investigation is pending.
Okay, investigation is pending. On that note, I'm wrapping up, because when I come back, I look at the political dimensions of this debate and why I believe that Rahul Gandhi, as usual, overreacted by asking for Gautam Adani's arrest. When I'm back.